Wah, wah, wah. Boo! You stink!
You know what? I could do a long speech about how we are actually pretty bad this year, but literally the tile says it for itself. The Lakers are wasting everybody's time. But because I do create this type of content and I'm trying to ease myself back into the mix of things, why the hell not create this video? So, as you guys see, we are 2-9. We lost pretty embarrassingly in pretty embarrassing fashion to the LA Clippers. And now we have to face Sacramento. I don't know if I'll get the video uploaded. My goal is to get this video uploaded at least before halftime of the Sacramento game, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, we're pretty ass. But anyways, where do we go from here, man? Like, I'm being dead ass. Where do we go from here? Oh yeah, also, we lost to the freaking Utah Jazz, who they are 10-3 right now, which is great, but they have live marketing for some reason turning into a mixture of Kevin Durant and Michael Jordan and LeBron, but you know what, that's just me. That Utah team's playing well, but we're focused on the Lakers. What the hell is the problem with this team? Like, what is the problem? Well, the one problem I'm not going to say, or the one thing I won't say is the problem, is Russell Westbrook. Why do I say this? Well, Russ is averaging the same amount of turnovers. But the thing is, the reason why he's not the problem is because, well, he is who he is. He's a turnover-prone guard. All right. And also, he's an inefficient shooter. But the thing is, Russ off the bench brings a lot more energy, and that was my phone, not yours. Don't worry about it. Russ brings energy to the Lakers off the bench, and he's been playing well. And for someone who had a very down year in LA, I think he individually has sort of found a new niche coming off the bench, and I think he's embraced that role. So he's not the problem here. But even then, despite Russ playing pretty well off the bench, as he makes that three in 2K, because I was basically sacking off him, because that's what all the teams were doing last year and some of this year. They're just letting Russ shoot out my threes. But even if Russ is playing well off the bench, we're still trash.
You're trash, kid.
But why are we trash? Well, let's get into the most, well, I don't want to say glaringly obvious, but one of the flaws that has been an issue for the past couple years, but nobody in the friggin' Lakers front office want to talk about it. The third quarter. We are the worst third quarter team. If Golden State's the best third quarter team, then the Los Angeles Lakers are the worst third quarter team. Because James Worthy in the post game after the Clipper game, when he was talking with Big Shot Ori, and who's that one other dude on Spectrum? But anyways, he was talking with the dudes on Spectrum, and he said that the Lakers are a team full of glimpses, and because of that, they managed to get one good quarter out of the Lakers. You want to know why I and James Worthy are basically on the same page as well as the dudes on Spectrum? It's because, okay, we were down 17 to the Clippers. Again, Russ, AD, Bron were all healthy. Okay, and as soon as we got within one, you know, AD throws down a lob, he's screaming, and then Russ gets to the basket and he's rocking the baby and all of that. That was fun to see. That was probably the best stretch of Laker basketball, and that's pretty sad to say. Usually when I say that, it usually means the greatest thing ever. You know what I'm saying? But no, that was the best I've seen this Laker team play. But that was the goddamn second quarter, dog. Like, you know, But after that, Norman Powell goes off. Zubac was eating AD's lunch and veggies. And, you know, he basically took AD's lunch and gave him the empty paper bag. If that makes sense. Has that ever happened to you guys? No? Okay, never mind. That is a bad analogy. But nevertheless, the second quarter is when we played great. But after that, we managed to stink up the rest of the game. And bro, I don't even know what the hell it is. I don't know if it's the fact that, you know, the old legs on the Lakers that are left, aka mostly LeBron, and then you have, I don't know what the hell's going on with Russ. Again, I won't talk about him. I'll just briefly talk about how he keeps turning the ball over, but again, he is who he is. I'm definitely going to give Anthony Davis a lot of shit in this video, but we'll talk about him at a later point in time, probably at the latter end of the video, but I want to get this out of the way. I don't know what the hell is up with us, but for some reason, we can't sustain momentum in the third quarter after having a good second quarter. After having a good second quarter, if we even have a good second quarter. It's been an issue the last 2 years, and Shannon Sharp said it on Undisputed. They go long stretches, especially in the third quarter, where they don't score a bucket. Now, let's put this in context, y'all. We were able to get away with that in 2020. Why? Because, well, LeBron still had good legs, AD was still fresh, and he wasn't as injury prone. Well, he was pretty injury prone, but that was the healthiest I've seen AD. But most importantly, we had a solid defensive core around us. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, Alex Caruso, KCP, Danny Green, Avery Bradley for the first half of the season until the season shut down because of COVID restrictions. And then he had to basically walk away from the bubble and then later on to Miami and yada, yada, yada. So you had those guys. You had Rondo, you had JaVale, you had Dwight. So to put it all into perspective, we were able to get away with having stretches in the third quarter where we couldn't score a lick because our defense was arguably the best in the league. I think we were a top 2 defensive team with the Milwaukee Bucks that year. But the last 2 years, or actually dating back to the 2020-2021 season, for some reason, even if we got a quote-unquote solid third option, whether that be Dennis the Menace Schroeder or Fumble the Bag Schroeder or Russ, for some reason we still can't score. Now, I don't even know if it's the coaching. I don't know if it's a lack of offense. But for some reason, we can't take the lid off in the third quarter. And plus, because of that, and I may get to this, and I think this will be the next topic I'll talk about, our defense is, well, not only overrated, but our defense is not as good. It's probably damn near, I don't know what to say. I don't want to say the same because there have been stretches where we've been really good on defense, but that's what they are. They're just stretches where we've been really good on defense, and that's really not saying much. If it's that big of an upgrade to what we had in 2022, with when we had Carmelo and Dwight and all those guys, aka the old geezers, and we show glimpses of good defense, that's really not saying much. So I'll say the defense is overrated. And you want to see proof of that? How about Norman Powell just splitting our defense and getting a free dunk? How about this right here? I know it's 2K. How about me just running the floor like a big man as a point guard and no one else is watching? That's a cataclysm of how our defense is, especially in the second half of the game. It's disgusting. Oh, and that leads me into my next talking point. Our defense is very overrated. It's overrated. I don't care what anyone says. I don't know anyone who has watched the games and they could sit there and tell me that, you know, hey, the Lakers are the best defense in the league. Right? Like, here's something for you guys. Check this out. So I did this on my iPhone calculator. I added up the points that we allowed that in the last 4 games. So allowed 130 to Utah, 114 to Cleveland, 139 to Utah. Again, that was on the Monday game. And then a couple days ago when we played the Clippers. So I rounded that up, and we basically are giving up 124 points in the last 4 games, if you go off those 4 games alone. Does that sound like a good defensive team to you guys? Be honest, does it? Because I personally don't think so, bro. Now, yeah, we may have only allowed 103 points to a really good Clippers team that has a deep roster, and they have a lot of players on that team I like, starting with PG. And then we allowed 106 to Portland. But if you think about it, that's the only time where we actually were legit good defensively, if you really think about it. The time where we only allowed 103 and 106 points. But since then, teams have been getting into the 110 range. Even in the 2 wins, Denver cracked 110 points, and in the overtime win against New Orleans had 117 points. The only time where we actually are a good defensive team, or at least I was convinced we were really good defensively, is when we lost the Clippers and the Blazers on October 20th and October 23rd, giving up 103 and 106 points. Other than that, this team is so embarrassing defensively. I don't know how we carried our defensive woes from last season to this season because, again, it's easily the most overrated defense. Easily the most overrated defense. I mean, 123 to the Warriors, 110 to Denver, 111 to Minnesota, 100. Gosh, you know, Sacramento, man. You know, they've been getting some momentum going. And I'm going to be talking about LeBron and AD, and that'll be my next talking point on why we've been bad. But we lose LeBron to an injury. AD's not playing well, and Sacramento is gaining some momentum. I'm hoping it does not lead to disaster, but I'm expecting it to lead towards a disaster. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. I'm trying to keep my poise and I'm trying to get my thoughts organized, but I have so much to say about this team. But yeah, we're very overrated defensively and we're not even that good. Oh yeah, and here's another thing too. Maybe this is gonna lead into my Anthony Davis talking point. Can we stop playing AD at the 5? Like, legit, I'm not even using this as an excuse on why AD is playing so soft. But the best we've seen AD is when he plays power forward. Now, I get it, Giannis and KD, you know, they played the 5s multiple times, but the thing is, sometimes players play better in a certain position. For example, like Steph plays better as the point guard, even though he plays like a shooting guard. KD plays better at small forward, even if Steve Nash or Steve Kerr plays him at the power forward. You know, Kevin plays his best at the small forward position. Hell, I can even go as far as to say this: Kawhi plays better at the small forward position than he can in the power forward position. Again, I'm not using that as an excuse for AD, but again, the only time we've really seen AD thrive is with another center. Because if you look at what he had in New Orleans with DeMarcus Cousins, AD had a solid year. AD next to JaVale and Dwight had a solid year, and we won the championship. So I don't know where they get this notion that playing AD at the 5 solves all our problems. It does not. Come on now.
And here's an update before I even continue any further. We just sold our bags to the Sacramento Kings. We held De'Aaron Fox to 0 points, but we couldn't pull away. It looked pretty good for a while. We led by as much as 11, but you know, we choked. We let De'Aaron Fox go off in the second half. I thought we were playing pretty well, but again, it's the third quarter woes, bro. Like, this is getting annoying. So here, before I even continue with this any further, the only guy or the only few guys that were actually positive in the plus minus ranking or box or whatever, if you look at the NBA box score, if you have the NBA app, Wenyen Gabriel plus 10, Austin Reeves plus 2, Juan T plus 1 with 3 personal fouls, and they only got 12 minutes. Max Christie, who's one of my favorite players to watch in college, he was in for 16 minutes and he had plus 8. Meanwhile, the 2 quote-unquote stars, Russ had a good game, 21-11, but he was a minus 13. He had 5 personal fouls and 5 turnovers. Pat Bev, even though he's not a damn star, I don't know why I'm including him, but fuck it. Oh, Frigate, he was a minus 2. Okay, whatever. He's Pat Bev. He is who he is. The immortal Lonnie Walker IV, minus 14. AD, minus 17, despite having 24 points, 14 rebounds, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. Now, if I gave you the fact that AD is going to go 24-14 with 2 steals and 3 blocks, and then Russ has 21 and 11, you think we would win, right? Wrong! And here we go again. We gave up 120 points. So now you add that 124.25. That was on my calculator, by the way, when I was making this video. You add 120 to the amount of points that we gave up. That just shows you how overrated our defense is. But yeah, I've raved enough about the defense and the third quarter woes. I'm going to turn my attention to the two centerpieces that have been with this team since 2019. And those two are named LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Where do I start? Let me start off with LeBron. Obviously, I have been a big LeBron fan since he came into the league. I've always loved what he did. He's an all-time great, and he's a great person overall, and a great father, and once upon a time, he was a great leader. But I have to tell it like it is. LeBron James has played horrible. Or is Father Time officially knocking on that door? Because I've heard so many people tell me after the 2020, or at least one of my friends tell me, after the 2020-21 season, he was hurt just because of the ankle. Now, was that true? Sure. That ankle kept him out for a good amount of time, and we ended up fighting for our lives in the play-in that year. But the last two seasons, it just feels like even LeBron, as great as he can be, he can't uplift this team. And for some reason, his body language looks so damn egregious. I've seen multiple times in the games I've watched, at least, when if things don't go LeBron's way, and this is one of the things I've never liked about LeBron, despite me respecting his greatness and loving him as a player. The one thing I never liked about LeBron is that he would pout when things go his way, not hustle the hell back on defense, and he would cherry pick for layups. And he did that a lot during the Clipper game. And that's one of the things that annoys me. I get it. The roster is frustrating in and of itself. But you have to overcome that if you're as great of a player as LeBron. But maybe I'm being overly critical of him because I have to remember he ain't 28 no more. This ain't 2011 to 2016. We done with that era, man. We are done with that era. He is 38 years old. So, okay, I'll give him some sort of a pass here. But a lot of people are saying that, he's going to do this, this, and this. I've heard it the last two seasons that LeBron was going to take us to the promised land and the Lakers were going to be this super dominant team that was going to triumph over the Bucks, the Nets, the Clippers, what have you. And guess where that led us? Nowhere. It led us nowhere. And it's leading us to nowhere this year. We are 2-10, bro. We are 2-10. And LeBron, he's getting old. He's on the verge of retirement. And partially, I'm going to have to put this roster construction on him. Meanwhile, I might get to the front office. I'll speak briefly about the front office because I have to focus on the main players. But LeBron has been a net negative, or just if you watch the games, it should feel like he has been a net negative throughout all the games he's played this season. I don't know if it's age and attrition, or maybe it's just the fact that I don't know if he even gives a shit about winning a championship with the Lakers anymore. I don't know if he gives. I don't know, man. It's just he's been so frustrating to watch this year. He's more frustrating to watch this year than last year, and that's saying something. And LeBron, you're on the wayside. All in all, LeBron's getting old. Father Time is beating him, unlike the commercials where he's beating Father Time, where it's just like a tug of war. Shout out Jason Momoa, aka Aquaman. But no, dog, this is just a whole nother level of unacceptable. He's been so frustrating to watch. But who's to say Anthony Davis has been any better? Okay. Now, look, 24-14 with 2 blocks and a steal. And I thought he played the only game where I feel like AD played great was the game we lost on opening day or opening night against the Warriors. AD was active. AD looked like he was ready to play basketball again. He was ready to take it more seriously. He was getting his hands in the passing lanes, whatever, what have you. But since then, he fell off a damn cliff. Like, bruh, does he not want it? Like, remember, in the AD's first go around, a lot of people considered him better than Giannis. I never believed he was better than Giannis. He was just on the better, in my opinion, the better team. You guys can take it for what's worth. You guys can throw all that stuff at me if the Bucks had Drew Holiday in 2020 or 2019, 2020, whatever. But I never believed AD was the better player. I always believed Giannis was better than AD. Okay, that and the Defensive Player of the Year award, that apparently the people who voted for Giannis that year to win Defensive Player of the Year over Anthony Davis agree with me as well. But here's the thing. Since the 2020 championship, it just felt like, did AD stop caring about basketball entirely? Well, maybe he still cares because he's still playing. I mean, you're not in this league. You're not in the professional level of basketball, football, or baseball, or soccer, what have you, if you don't care enough. But the thing is, and I think I talked about it with James Harden, and a lot of people said this about Darren Williams, is AD treating basketball like it's his job instead of passion? Like, he just goes to a game and then just clocks out and calls it a day. Just goes to the game, goes to practice, and just calls it a day. Because it's acceptable if you're in markets like, let's say, I don't know, the Sacramento Kings, the Portland Trailblazers, and even then they hold themselves, Dame and Fox and Sabonis within those. My thoughts are getting discombobulated again, but the point is that I am looking at AD the last 2 years. It seems like he refuses to take the bull by the horn. And that's why a lot of people called him soft. It makes no sense at all for AD at 30 years old to be playing like he's 6'1", dog. Like, literally, I said this last year. AD, my boy, like, I don't know if you're 6'11" or 6'1", but some of these stats, here, I'll give you this. He had 21-9 against the Clippers, 21-9. You would have think with that stat line, you would have think Chris Paul, Devin Booker, James Harden, hell, Jason Tatum, Klay Thompson. You would think those guys are playing for the Lakers, but no, it was Anthony Davis. The same Anthony Davis who played out of his mind in the bubble, who hit the game winner against Denver. But nah, AD dropped off a cliff. He doesn't want to play grown man basketball the way LeBron has played grown man basketball. And this is where I give LeBron credit here. Even at the age of 38, he still at least gives a shit enough to play grown man basketball. Like, if you see here in 2K, he scores on my player. Then again, my player is 6'2", 182, and LeBron's like, what, 6'9", what we gonna give him? Like 250, 260? So I would hope he'd make that over me. Over my player, but that's just an example of LeBron playing grown man basketball. Anthony Davis refuses to do that, and I think Dreamers Pro pointed it out that the difference between Anthony Davis and Giannis is that Giannis is going to do whatever it takes to win a game. Meanwhile, AD, he's just out there thinking that, oh, because I'm next to LeBron James, I look so much better and all that other stuff. Like, in Dreamers Pro's words, he looks too cool for school. And you want to know something, y'all? What people considered Kevin Durant, I don't know why they wouldn't consider Anthony Davis that. Because remember, Charles Barkley and even to an extent Shannon Sharp, they called him a bus runner. When things got hard for him in New Orleans, he wanted to run to LA and play with LeBron. The same way people considered Kevin Durant when he was playing with Russ in OKC, and then he blew a 3-1 lead to Golden State, and then joined Golden State the offseason after. You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't consider Anthony Davis a bus rider because it's literally, if you think about it, it's almost the exact same thing. The difference is Kevin at least has won more than one championship. But not only that, guys, but Kevin has led his team to the finals. He led them to multiple conference finals, and he's won an MVP. And I think he was a scoring champion. That was the year 2013. I think that was the year Russ got hurt. But nevertheless, the last 2 seasons really exposed Anthony Davis and his inability to lead a team, where he refuses to grab the bull by the horn, and all he wants to do is shoot jump shots. Like, dude, you playing like you 6'1", dog. Like, come on. But anyways, one final point, because this video is taking so damn long. Our front office is bad. We're literally trying to get pieces off the scrap in hopes of them turning around our season. Like, I heard we were getting the Tony Snell. That fool Tony Snell, I literally, everyone remembers him not being a decent 3 and D player, not being a decent 3 and D player for the Bucks, but he literally played 28 minutes and had 0 everything, bro. Like, come on, we really expect Tony Snell to turn our season around? It's like people expected Stanley Johnson to help turn our season around, dog. Like, next thing I know, we're gonna get Isaiah Thomas off the street, which I wouldn't mind having IT back if we didn't have so many guards. Kendrick Nunn has been bad. Patrick Beverley I can see why the Clippers dumped him. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I could see why the Clippers thought getting Norman Powell and Robert Covington was gonna be more beneficial to the team than keeping Patrick Beverley. I'm starting to see why. It's sad to see, man. It's sad to see. So yeah, our front office did a terrible job the last 2 years. You know, Thomas Bryant. You know, Washington let him go for a reason. Damian Jones has been a journeyman for a reason. Juan Toscano Anderson was kicked off. I don't want to say he was kicked off the Warriors, but the Warriors let him go for a reason. And the Lakers thought these guys were pretty good. This is just embarrassing now, bro. And I'm gonna sum it up. I'm gonna sum up the LeBron James and Anthony Davis era out minus the championship. We gave up Kyle Kuzma, Danny Green, KCP, Alex Caruso, JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, Josh Hart, Lonzo Ball, Larry Nance Jr., and all those guys for 2 players. Oh yeah, and multiple draft picks for virtually 2 players. Those 2 players being Anthony Davis and Russ. Tragic. It's tragic, man. But anyways, this video is taking so long, and you know, I had a lot on my mind. And this is basically a rehash of last year's video. On that video was how why are the Lakers so bad. Literally, I'm not gonna regurgitate. Well, I only regurgitated like what 35% of the vid in this video, but I don't know, bro. Like, this is embarrassing. 2-10 of the season. Yeah, we're not making the playoffs, dog. We are not making the playoffs unless we make a miraculous turnaround and make a trade for actually someone meaningful. This season's gone. This season is a goner for sure. But I don't know, man. Please let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. I'm gonna watch the 2019-20 season and try to reminisce on the good old days, and watch Kobe highlights again, and maybe cry myself to sleep because I miss the guy so much. But I don't know. It's interesting to see, and you know, I can't believe I'm saying this. The Clippers are more suited to win a damn championship than the Lakers. I know we've been saying that the past 3 years, but they just look overall better than the Lakers. Sorry, Laker fans. You can kill me all you want, but it's the dang truth. But anyways, this video is gonna end soon. Yeah, that is the end of this video. I'm X. Deuces.